Cellar. Had a week off. Did you miss me? Went back to Moline, town where my wife and I grew up, where I went to a parochial school. It was the 60th anniversary of our 8th grade graduation. It was a lot of fun. Saw people I hadn't seen in 60 years because I went into the public and they went along to the parochial. And saw Mike Gingler, who I've spoken about, the gentleman who I spent 3 weekends with learning to play war games and then played games forever with until we parted ways at school. It's a good time. Decent driving, except for the hour we waited with the motor turned off in the construction in Indiana, almost into Ohio, and both lanes were backed up probably for 20 miles. Turned the motor off for an hour. All right, let's go back into your comments. And I don't know if I'm not being controversial enough, or where the comments are kind of petering, and it doesn't have to be a comment on something that was said before. Questions are fully acceptable. Let's see. I don't know if I mentioned, but I played Wheel of Blame with the Seven Winds from Okinawa on the 19th. Yeah, it was a great time. All right, I agree. We'll try that one again. Break a leg, Tim. I agree with you. TSR is no more. It was lightning in a bottle. Once in a lifetime. And yeah, that's what it was. Believe me, there's nobody alive today, literally, who would love to see that not be the case. But it was what it was. And those of us that were there during that period of time have fond memories of it. Not just of being at TSR. All right. Okay. Now, I found this really intriguing. So I'm going to read it to you just the way I read it. Barry the Goblin was craving some KFC. Who could blame him? We've all been there. 11 p.m., can't sleep, super hungry. So Barry heads off to his nearest BFC, Borderland Fried Chicken, whistling to himself as he's daydreaming about BFC's famous bowl, or failure pile in a sadness bowl, as Patton Oswalt says. Suddenly, he finds himself a pincushion of arrows. Barry didn't know it, but he was a wandering monster. That was his purpose. And it's very clever. And I think that's a good thing that we should all think about. The truly evil stuff, okay, no problem, kill it. But there have been so many good books out, written from the point of what we would consider monsters. Hans Cummings has a protagonist as a minotaur. And there's been a couple of good books about being an orc, and, orcs are not just experience points, sacks full of experience point waiting for you to poke them and let them out. Which is why you always want to have a good story, reason, for what your adventure, your campaign, whatever. Make it plausible. And you'll find that when you put in a little ethics once in a while, you may frustrate and amuse yourself. You may frustrate some of your players by making them state ethics. After all, there's alignment involved. I know a character with a lost limb may not seem like one that would still be useful in a dungeon, but from Okay, yeah, that's the Celtic. That was Nuada, the Silver Hand, his Celtic name. To Zatochi, the Blind Swordsman. I've always been inspired by such fantastic characters. Even Elric of Melmode, whatever how you like to pronounce it, had to overcome his poor constitution with herbal remedies. Um, I don't say that they can't be played. However, if the DM really hates to see that player character's uh, character, if that player's character leave the campaign setting, or doesn't want to destroy that person who's playing that character, you could make lose a hand, make a quest. You've heard about an artificial hand of so and so. Don't go fool around with hands of Vecna and heavyweight stuff. Nuclear weapons like that. It's a great. There's several hooks there, possibly. I agree. Stick it in brine and take it somewhere up high in the mountains where you heard they can be, restored. There's lots of hooks there. But if the DM doesn't care to go into that, if he doesn't wish to skew the whole campaign just to help one player, that's okay. However, DMs out there listening or watching, we don't often get great reasons to veer off script every once in a while. So don't pass them up when you see them. Okay. All right. The fighter who rolled poorly and couldn't break down the door after the magic user pops it right. Oh, after the magic user pops it right open. Well, I loosened it up for you. Yeah. Well, that's a great rejoinder. And pretty hard to argue. And anybody that's in a committed relationship has heard that already. Honey, can you get this jar open? And you walk out and go, boop. See, I loosened it up for you. And I've had that work the other way, too, in recent years. So, you don't need abusing. From the real world, military days, I've seen the battering ram pair move up, hit the door once or twice without success, only to have the point man move them back, turn the door handle, which had been unlocked all along. It could be like that. It could. Though, if it's like that, whoever's up in front, whether it's a thief or the point man or whatever, should be clubbed around the head with a rattan sword for not determining when it was open or locked in the beginning. But I see your point. It's a valid point. Common sense. That's why when we played, you could not ask too many questions. Well, you could, but understand what I'm going with. It was about gathering information. Information could keep you from getting killed, your character, from getting killed. Gathering information could keep you from getting hurt. Gathering information could keep you from blowing the whole deal and missing the chance at whatever you were after. That's a thing I cannot stress enough to players that don't play the older style, if you will. Ask questions. Determine what it is. Ask questions. All right, now this is a lengthy comment concerning a rule set called Powered by the Apocalypse and backstories. But the point he's making is that I'm all for stealing any rules from any other game that or my group likes. That being said, I found those particular rules, powered by the apocalypse, cumbersome generally, especially related to things like partial success and partial failure, to be too demanding on me as a GM. Well, that's that. See, there's right there is the partial success. Partial. Make it or don't. But I mean, your point's well taken. Okay. Okay. People get tired of hearing, "Oh, your axe is stuck in the wall. You dropped your sword, etc." I'd have to make a giant random chart or something partial. Yeah, you did it. You didn't. If as a DM if it's a particularly awful roll and you want to make a little comedy out of it, great. If it's a particularly, oh, geez, overkill roll, okay, you can have a little fun with that. Okay, and then back to stealing rules. No offense to the TSR old school stuff, but there are some really cool mechanics out there now to deal with other games, from other games. DCC, MCC has a plethora, as does Index Card RPG, several others. I know you tried DCC. Have you tried? Index Card. No, I have not tried Index Card RPG. Remember that in every introduction, in every one of the old rule books, we said they're not graven in stone. Adapt, modify, bring in, cast out. Good. You're making the game your own. Good. You're making your campaign your own. You and all your players are making your own thing. Not a stamp of everybody else's thing, but your own. And by bringing in other rules, house ruling, etc., I think that's the ideal. That's my opinion. In regard to lots of dice, I have no problem with that at all. I agree. And I like any mechanisms where the kids, I mostly play with my son's friends, are rolling and they know what the target is, so that scream yay or oh no when the dice are rolled. Yeah. The problem with Top Secret New World Order is I can't tell exactly what types of dice I'm about to throw. Maybe I'm just old and don't have the RAM to memorize new systems. Rolling under applicable statistics or rolling over on a D20 is fast and fun. I tend to roll over using 5e convention because that's what most players are used to now. Okay. I understand what you're saying. And again, I'm not at all knocking Top Secret. I consider Merle a friend. I would in no way offend him, and I know you're not either. So, if any game that has a mechanism you don't like, you oughtn't to play. Simple. There's games I won't play or don't play because I don't like the mechanism, the system, the structure, depending upon, something that bothers me about it, I don't play it. You shouldn't either. Life's too short to mess around playing stinky games when there's all the good ones out there to try. In my world, the giants and the dragons hold 80% of all the gold. I like that concept. That would fall in very well with my economics that I like to use, where gold is really, really rare, and it's pretty much a silver-based economy. Gold's there, but it's pretty much a silver coinage economy. I like that. Which, in that circumstance, when you and your trusty band of Confederates come back from a successful campaign looting mission and blow into town with a lot of gold, that is perfect to set up inflationary issues in the town and watch that gold disappear. And I don't say this to be mean or unfair, but having played like that before, well, man, we made a haul. We're good for weeks, and so not playing at all because we didn't have to. We'd get a little complacent, and then we'd get a little spur, like, oh, by the way, the X number of gold that you came into town with is now 1/3 X number of gold left. Just a way to do it. And if you want gold, you got to take on giants or dragons, which is why there's not much of it, which would make the dwarves in a campaign setting, make them an interesting pivot. The dragons and the giants hold 80% of all the known gold. Okay, hi there. Since the top secret thread is still in circulation, I'll chime in. Two things really leap out at me. One, this particular gentleman's game is tweaked homebrewed. Okay. In your numerous interviews explaining modules, you've said numerous times TSR printed material was not gospel, and the idea was change it around. Yeah, I mentioned that in the earlier reply. And he I liked the video with Jim Walther when he was going through the book going, oh, we never did that. That's how you make it your own. And he's praising Merle, who did a new adventure for Gary Con, and I say, yeah, right on. And if top secret players congregate at Gary Con, that's great. That's not unprecedented by any means. There's different cons around the country that concentrate on different things, or rather than say concentrate, are known for having an active interest in certain games. That's great. The con organizers should find those people, have them come run games that the public can watch, and make new gamers. What was your opinion? Oh, yeah. What was your opinion on the fanzines that were made during the late 70s? I recently seen one called The Apprentice that was from Canada. It seems Gary wasn't a fan of them. No, he wasn't, nor was I. And the reason was, during that period of time, they were the influencers. This is, pre all what we take for granted today. They were the influencers in that a fanzine was composed of a number of pages of a number of different topics from a number of different perspectives. A fanzine was, okay, I'm going to belong, and you paid your money, which paid for the paper that you were going to receive. And there, if the circulation was 28, then you made 30 copies and sent them to whoever the collator was. And okay, now I say influencer because that was the only kind of information sharing that was going on about the game in the early days. And it's where all the things that we ended up having to squash first arose. Spell points being one. That was spell. I still believe that spell points would destroy the system. Spell points for wizards, just no, they don't work. And there were many, many other things. Hey, let's do it this way. Hey, let's do it that way. Too many to really remember them all now. But everyone that we thought was going to break the system or was designed to get around the system, which many, many, many of them were, we actively worked to squash. And if it was something that was very prevalent idea at the time, well, then the next supplement that came out might have dealt with it and squashed it. Many of the contributors were arrogant twits. A couple of the contributors went on to write well thought out, well presented articles in other publications later. A great many of them were strident screamers. We monitored them just to see what crazy propositions were coming out of them. Nah, we didn't like them. When dragons sleep, what do they dream about? Someday I'll ask one. All right, now, I am happy to announce that over the next year, probably 3 releases are going to be of my games. I understand that there's already been teasers about the Lost Adventures of Gary Kahn, and there's a couple of others that after that are going to be coming out, and I'm looking forward. I'm really looking forward to it. So keep posted here, or keep get an eye on Wizard Tower Games. And that's where you want to keep an eye open, Wizard Tower Games. I hear, on the rumor wind, there's going to be a new convention in central Michigan next July. See how that turns out. And now I'm going to steal the line. From one of my favorites, and say for something completely different. Let's talk about mustard. I love mustard. I love mustard so much, I have 9 different kinds in my refrigerator upstairs right now. Those are the jarred ones. Then there's a tube of German mustard. Mustard is the supreme condiment. The Sumerians and the old Indians, Asian, back to 3000 BC, talk about mustard. Greek and Roman talk about mustard. It's in the Bible. The noblest of condiments. Believed to have originated in ancient Egypt. The Greeks use it as a medicine and a spice. Well, okay. Romans emulated the Greek, using it as both food and medicine, ascribing it as a cure for anything from hysteria to snake bite to bubonic plague. Well, the hysteria might have worked, especially if it was really hot, but the other two we don't think work so good. But what's a hot dog without mustard? For that matter, what's a burger without mustard? Now, I admit, I'm biased against ketchup. I only eat ketchup on fries. But ketchup's a newcomer. Like I said, I've got 9 or 10 different kinds up there. This is my favorite. It's called Bogies. It's a Dutch-style coarse ground mustard. I grew up eating this. It's made in Rock Island, Illinois. You can buy it by the case. It's nice and spicy. I got it being sold here a couple of places in Cincinnati since I moved here. So it's available, but I can buy it cheaper by buying a case, and several of my friends want it. Well, I don't know what your favorite is. This is a little company. They make it by the batch. Family recipe, family members making it, only so much at a time. Has a nice burn your nostrils heat to it, but nothing that it makes your eyes run. Yellow mustard, or salad mustard, some people call it. Spicy brown. I have a sweet mustard, a sweet Swedish mustard. Mustard is just ubiquitous. And mustard is also the weirdest thing I could come up with to talk about in this edition of the Curmudgeon. So, think about mustard. Do you take it for granted? What are weird things that you eat mustard on? I like to make a sandwich out of bacon and drizzle yellow mustard on it, salad mustard. Love it. I like American cheese and several kinds of mustard. What do you like mustard on? Maybe we'll start a mustard thread. No, we're not gonna. I guess that's all I got for now. So I'm gonna say, let's see, what am I supposed to? Oh yeah, Dodaragovi. Hello, and welcome to my cellar.
He's the curmudgeon who wrote about the dungeons. Now he's the feller, live from the cellar. Talks about D&D and old school RPGs. Still quite a feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar. Last man around when them rates went down. Called it Gary in that Lake Geneva town. Hey Gary, it's an awful mess. Let me edit, we'll have success. D&D and Dragon Magazine. He's a curmudgeon who wrote about the dungeons. Now he's the feller, live from the cellar. Talks about D&D and old school RPGs, but he's still quite the feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar. Magic missile, it's a mortar shell. Make it hit in the first level spell. Brought psionics to the game to attack that wizard's brain. DSR and fantasy, collection of micro armory. Titan with tramp under a tree, high as could be. He's the curmudgeon who wrote about the dungeons. Now he's the feller, live from the cellar. Talks about D&D and old school RPGs, but he's still quite the feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar. Still quite the feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar. Curmudgeon.